At a moment when Donald Trump's political standing with the American people is at its lowest, so low that it's lower right now than it was after the insurrection, after Donald Trump sent a mob to storm the United States Capitol on January 6th. So at that moment, enter the most popular and beloved living president of these United States of America and watch him come out swinging. President Barack Obama making a forceful case against Donald Trump, as only he can do, tying Donald Trump's flagrant and brazen corruption, his contempt for the rule of law and human rights, and facts and science all together with a bow on top at stops in Virginia and New Jersey over the weekend. The president was campaigning for Democratic gubernatorial candidate Mikey Sherrill. Obama called the Trump administration, quote, all tricks and no treats. Watch.
It's hard to know where to start because every day this White House offers up a fresh batch of lawlessness and carelessness and mean-spiritedness and just plain old craziness. We've got a president who thinks it's okay to use the Justice Department, just for example, to use the Justice Department to go after his political opponents. And wait. Here's a rule. You can't boo. You got to vote. They won't hear you if you're booing, but they'll hear your vote. So you've got a president who replaces career prosecutors with loyalists who will do his bidding, and now he's telling them to hand over millions of taxpayer dollars that he had to pay in expenses for previously violating the law. We've got a commander-in-chief who has fired decorated military officers because he thinks they might be more loyal to the Constitution than they are to him. No, don't boo. He's deployed the National Guard in American cities and claimed to be stopping crime waves that don't actually exist. We've got masked ICE agents pulling in unmarked vans and grabbing people off the streets, including U.S. citizens. Don't boo, vote. Grabbing them on the suspicion that they don't look like real Americans. We've got Health and Human Services Secretary who opposes proven science and then peddles quack medicine. We've got a top White House aide who calls Democrats, the whole Democratic Party, domestic extremists. And then we've got some poor labor economist who got fired for accurately reporting bad job numbers that Trump didn't like. It's like every day is Halloween, except it's all tricks and no treats.
No treats indeed. President Obama turning these races into a referendum on Donald Trump with a simple question for all voters. Are you better off than you were 9 months ago?
Is the economy working better for you? Because it sure has gotten better for Trump and his family. Since he's been in office, the family crypto business and other ventures have made hundreds of millions of dollars and getting investment from foreign nationals and rich folks looking to stay in the president's good graces. The economy has been really good for some of Trump's billionaire friends. And it's been good for some finance bros and well-connected corporations who've seen their tax bill go down and don't have to worry about all those pesky regulators anymore. But for ordinary families, for you, your neighbors, your friends, costs have not gone down, they've gone up. Partly because of Trump's shambolic tariff policy.
Polls show that a solid majority of all Americans feel exactly the way President Obama articulated. A CNN poll shows Donald Trump's approval rating at 37% of Americans. Donald Trump's disapproval rating is at 63%. That is the highest number of people who disapprove of Donald Trump in the history of this poll asking that question. 61% of Americans say Trump's policies have made the economy worse. 61% of Americans think Donald Trump has gone too far in using the power of his presidency. Just 10% of Americans approve of his demolition and destruction of the East Wing of the White House. Here's what President Barack Obama had to say about that.
And as for the president, he has been focused on critical issues like paving over the Rose Garden so folks don't get mud on their shoes, and gold plating the Oval Office and building a $300 million ballroom. So Virginia, here's the good news. If you can't visit a doctor, don't worry. He will save you a dance. And if you don't get an invitation to the next White House shindig, you can always watch the festivities and all the beautiful people on Truth Social.
It's about where we are. The Democratic Party, the Democratic candidates, and President Barack Obama making the 2025 election choice. A referendum on Donald Trump and his administration is where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. New York Times White House correspondent Tyler Pager is here. President and CEO of Reproductive Freedom for All, Mini Timuraju, is back at the table. Also back with us at the table for like the next 72 hours, I hope.
Pretty much.
My friend and colleague, MSNBC political analyst, former Senator Claire McCaskill. We'll get to the races and the state of play, but I think everyone who is for the country remaining a democracy, which looks like those numbers are ticking up by the hour, breathes a sigh of relief when President Obama enters the chat.
Yeah, and boy, nothing's better than sarcastic Obama. You know, he is just the best when he really hits his mark on using his incredible oratorical skills to skewer a character like Donald Trump. I think we have a lot of talent in the Democratic Party. I know everybody is teeth gnashing and worrying about who's going to emerge and do we have a leader. I think one will emerge. I think the process will demand someone who can communicate well and captures the anger and the frustration that so many Democrats are feeling. And frankly, now, a really healthy majority of independents. And that's what I watch in these polls, Nicole. The way you look at politics is influenced by what you went through working in the White House. I ran in a state where I could not win with Democratic voters. I had to have independent voters. I had to peel off some of the Republican voters for me to ever win in a state like Missouri. So independent voters are who decides who's president of the United States. And independent voters are who decides who represents states like Pennsylvania and Ohio and North Carolina and Michigan, all the states that we need to gain control in Congress. And what you're seeing in this polling is remarkable among independent voters. Forget about the Democrats and Republicans for a minute and realize that those people that are sick of both parties, they're sick of Donald Trump right now.
Well, what's interesting, Minnie, is the voters, you can't become president without winning them over either.
You can't.
I mean, so President Obama's, one of many of his political feats was assembling the Obama coalition, which included a lot of independent voters. And President Biden assembled a lot of those same individuals. Donald Trump appealed to them last November in enough numbers to prevail. But the vast majority of them told us they voted for him because of the price of groceries, largely, and cost of living and inflation. Those are some of his lowest poll numbers. And as much as we appreciate the zingers about the ballroom and the rule of law, I think they're really important issues to a whole lot of people. Every single person in this country, except the tech bros, what do you call them? The billionaire, the finance bros, the crypto guys, and the lofty corporations. But everybody else is feeling the damage Trump has done to the economy.
Yeah, and the SNAP cuts going into effect or almost going into effect right now is just sort of heightening the drama, right? You're talking about cost of groceries, and now you have many of his own base really unclear whether they can feed their kids next week. I mean, it's almost like a parody. Like, how are you having a Great Gatsby party at the same time that millions of Americans could lose access to basics like bread and milk and eggs? You know, I think the same coalition of voters, though, going to New Jersey and Virginia, going to Mikey Sherrill and Abigail Spanberger, they're the same coalition that they need. So I don't think it's an accident that this is coming down to an Obama-Trump fight. It's almost like a proxy war in some of these places, but particularly in those two states where there are so many folks who depend on federal government contracts. They work for the government, and they have really been hit hard. And I think you can't separate what's happening right in this moment, the crisis we're seeing right now, and the fact that this race is tomorrow and people don't know where they're going to get their next meal.